He existed in a world devoid of sunshine, laughter, or gentle interaction. For Bolt, a lean, scar-faced dog rescued from a situation involving extreme neglect and suspected physical abuse. Life had been a grim exercise in survival, devoid of anything remotely resembling joy. Every interaction with humans, it seemed, had been rooted in cruelty, harsh commands, painful handling, confinement, starvation, and perhaps even deliberate torment. He arrived at the rescue center not just fearful, but profoundly institutionalized by misery, carrying the heavy weight of his past in his tense posture. His averted gaze and his complete lack of understanding of normal canine social cues or behaviors. Toys were meaningless objects, often viewed with suspicion or fear. Happy talk and enthusiastic voices caused him to flinch and retreat. The very concept of spontaneous, joyful movement seemed alien to him. The question hung heavy in the air among the dedicated rescue staff who worked patiently to heal his physical wounds and build basic trust. Can a dog who knew only cruelty learn to play? Could this fundamental, instinctual expression of canine well-being ever blossom in a spirit so thoroughly crushed by human brutality? Watching his vacant response to squeaky toys or gentle invitations to engage felt like asking if a stone could learn to sing. It seemed almost impossible, making the potential for any breakthrough incredibly emotional. Bolt's initial state was heartbreaking. Physically, he was recovering, gaining weight, his scars fading, his coat slowly regaining some luster. But emotionally, he remained locked down. He tolerated necessary handling for feeding and medical care with stoic resignation, but offered no positive engagement. He spent most of his time lying stiffly on his bed, hypervigilant, scanning his environment for potential threats. Unlike some fearful dogs who might exhibit frantic energy, Bolt's fear manifested as a deep, watchful stillness, an almost catatonic withdrawal. When faced with something novel or unpredictable, like a volunteer rolling a soft ball gently towards his kennel, he would often press himself flatter against the floor, sometimes trembling, his eyes wide with apprehension, clearly perceiving the object or action not as fun, but as another potential source of danger or confusion in a world that had only ever been hostile. He simply didn't possess the framework to understand play. Joy, fun, and carefree interaction were foreign languages his brutal past had never allowed him to learn. The cruelty he endured had seemingly extinguished that innate spark. Recognizing the depth of Bolt's trauma and his complete lack of play drive, the rescue center knew he needed specialized foster care. Standard shelter enrichment protocols weren't working. He needed a quiet, patient environment with someone who understood that teaching play to such a dog was unjust about tossing a ball. It was about fundamentally rebuilding his sense of safety, trust, and emotional well-being from the ground up. They reached out to Mark, a behavioral foster known for his work with dogs suffering from extreme shutdown and trauma, particularly those rescued from abusive backgrounds where normal developmental stages, including learning appropriate play, were violently disrupted. Mark understood that play is not just frivolous, it's a vital indicator of psychological health. A dog who cannot play is often a dog who does not feel safe. He accepted the challenge, knowing it would be a long, slow, emotional journey, requiring immense patience and potentially yielding only minimal results. Bolt's transition to Mark's quiet home followed the now familiar pattern for severely traumatized dogs. A lengthy decompression period in a designated safe space, minimal pressure, predictable routines, and the slow establishment of trust through positive association. Mark focused initially on making Bolt feel secure in his environment. He used calming pheromone diffusers, played soft classical music, and ensured all interactions were predictable and non-threatening. He spent hours simply being present in the same room, working on his laptop or reading, allowing Bolt to observe him from a distance. Learning that human presence didn't automatically equate to danger or demand. Building this foundation of safety was paramount. Play could only potentially emerge once Bolt felt fundamentally secure. Weeks turned into months. Bolt slowly began to relax marginally in Mark's presence. He started eating more readily, eventually taking high-value treats gently from Mark's hand. He learned to tolerate wearing a soft harness and walking briefly on leash in the secure backyard, sniffing tentatively at the grass, though his movements remained cautious and guarded. He learned that Mark's hands, unlike those in his past, offered only gentle guidance and rewards, never pain. But the question of play remained unanswered. Mark tried introducing various toys, always gently and without pressure. A soft plush toy was ignored. A squeaky ball caused Bolt to startle and retreat. A sturdy rubber Kong, even when smeared with peanut butter, was viewed with deep suspicion before eventually being cautiously licked clean, but never tossed or chewed playfully. Invitations to play. A playful bow from Mark, a happy tone of voice, a gently tossed toy were met with confusion, anxiety, or complete indifference. Bolt simply didn't know how to respond. The software for play seemed to be missing entirely, corrupted or deleted by the virus of cruelty. Mark refused to be discouraged. He knew that pushing too hard would be detrimental. He integrated play attempts subtly into their routine. During brief training sessions focused on simple cues like touch, Mark would reward Bolt's success not just with a treat, but sometimes with exaggerated, quiet praise and a slightly more animated body language, trying to associate positive feelings with slightly more energetic human behavior. He also started simply leaving different types of toys, varying textures, sizes, some silent, some crinkly, scattered in the room where Bolt spent most of his time, allowing Bolt to investigate them entirely on his own terms, without any human expectation attached. The first hint of a breakthrough was incredibly subtle. Mark had left a particularly soft, flat, unstuffed crinkle mat toy near Bolt's bed. For days, Bolt ignored it. Then, one afternoon, while settling down for a nap, Bolt inadvertently nudged the toy with his paw as he circled. The slight crinkling sound made him startle initially, but then, instead of moving away, he sniffed it cautiously. He nudged it again, seemingly testing the sound. He then lay down, but his nose remained pointed towards the toy. It wasn't play, but it was interaction. Curiosity piqued, rather than immediate fear. Mark observed quietly, heart hopeful. Could this be the start? Can a dog who knew only cruelty learn to play? Maybe, just maybe. Building on this, Mark began occasionally nudging the crinkle mat gently with his own foot while sitting nearby, making the soft sound, then immediately rewarding Bolt with a treat if he remained calm or showed any interest. He then progressed to picking up the toy very briefly, offering it loosely in his hand for Bolt to sniff, rewarding any sniff, however brief. One day, as Mark held the toy out, Bolt didn't just sniff it. He tentatively opened his mouth and gently mouthed the soft fabric for a split second before pulling back. Mark praised him softly. "Good boy, gentle, and gave him a high-value treat. This gentle mouthing, often an early component of play behavior, was a significant step. Mark then tried gently wiggling the soft toy on the floor a short distance away. Bolt watched intently, head cocked. Mark stopped wiggling it, leaving it still. Bolt approached cautiously, sniffed it, then gave it a tentative pop, mimicking Mark's earlier foot nudge. Mark praised him enthusiastically but softly. Over many repetitions, Bolt began pawing at the toy more readily when Mark wiggled it slightly. Then came the day Mark wiggled it, and Bolt responded with a clumsy pounce, landing with his front paws near the toy before quickly backing off, looking almost surprised at his own actions. This clumsy pounce, this flicker of instinct, felt like witnessing a precious secret unfold. This moment, captured mentally by Mark, and later, occasionally, on brief, carefully taken video snippets, marked the true beginning of Bolt learning to play. From there, progress remained slow but steady, always guided by Bolt's comfort level. He learned to pick up the soft crinkle toy and carry it short distances. He engaged in very gentle, brief games of tug with soft fleece toys, Mark always letting Bolt win easily to build confidence. He started showing interest in rolling a soft ball, nudging it with his nose, sometimes even chasing it for a step or two before stopping. Each new play behavior was fragile, easily extinguished by perceived pressure or unexpected stimuli. But the fact that they were emerging at all felt miraculous. The ability to play seemed to correlate directly with Bolt's overall emotional healing. As he engaged more in these tentative play sessions, his general anxiety lessened. He became more confident exploring the yard, his movements less stiff, more fluid. His tail began to wag more frequently, more loosely. He started soliciting affection more readily, leaning into Mark for scratches, offering soft sighs of contentment. Play wasn't just teaching him a new skill. It was helping him reconnect with dormant instincts, experience positive arousal rather than fearful arousal, and build a stronger, more joyful bond with Mark, the human, who was patiently showing him that life didn't have to be solely about survival and fear. He was learning that interaction could be fun, movement could be joyful, and humans could be partners in that joy, not just sources of cruelty. Finding Bolt a forever home required finding adopters who understood not just his history of cruelty, but also the nuances of his newly learned playstyle. He wasn't a dog who would likely enjoy roughhousing or intense, high-arousal games. His play remained gentle, sometimes hesitant, needing encouragement and a safe, predictable environment. After a careful search, Mark and the rescue found Lisa and Ben, a quiet couple deeply committed to positive reinforcement training, who were specifically looking for a dog needing a calm, patient home. They were charmed by Bolt's gentle nature and deeply moved by his journey, understanding that his ability to play at all was a profound victory. They embraced his gentle playstyle and committed to continuing the patient encouragement Mark had started. Seeing Bolt today in his forever home is deeply emotional. He plays gentle games of fetch in the yard with Lisa, carries his favorite soft toys proudly around the house, and sometimes even engages in brief, happy zoomies when excited. His play might look different from that of a dog raised without trauma, but it is undeniably play, a joyful expression of his reclaimed spirit. The question, can a dog who knew only cruelty learn to play, has been answered with a resounding, heartwarming yes. It took immense patience, deep understanding, and a safe environment filled with positive experiences. But Bolt's hidden personality, including his capacity for joy and playfulness, was finally unlocked. His journey is a powerful testament to the resilience of dogs and the healing power of patient, compassionate rehabilitation, proving that even spirits seemingly crushed by cruelty can rediscover the simple, profound joy of play.